Massenomics.
Thanks for what you do with your podcast and all the rest. You're doing a great job. Hope everybody keeps tuning in. You get a lot of good info, a lot of insights, understandings of how to get strong, how to stay strong, how to use your strength.
You do a great job, dude. You make things better than they are in real life, I think.
If you don't follow Massenomics, y'all do it. Social media, website, everything.
Massenomics.
Yeah. Welcome to Massenomics, the world's strongest podcast. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Massenomics. Make sure you go visit Massenomics.com. There you'll find the rest of our powerful content. While you're there, check out our store and buy yourself some of that sweet Massenomics gear.
All right, welcome everyone to episode 141 of the Massenomics podcast. The two best Massenomics podcast hosts in the world are here today.
Back at it.
Yeah, Tommy and Tanner.
Without the help of Brad this time.
Yeah, Big Brad Night Moves made his way back to the Twin Cities.
Yep, he left us.
Safe travels, Brad. We've got a bevy of topics to cover today, kind of a myriad of topics.
We do.
Proverbial buffet of topics. I'll give you the quick rundown of some of the things we're going to cover today.
You prepared the rundown?
Yeah, I finally got that rundown put together that we've been talking about getting together.
Impressive.
That rundown, we're going to talk about some Planet Fitness statistics. We're going to talk about the new USAPL Nationals qualifying totals. We're going to talk about Thor's upcoming meet, of course, and maybe
you got to.
Maybe we'll update we put predictions out there before. We'll update some of those predictions now, having a little bit, having seen a little bit more evidence.
The curtain's been pulled back a little more.
Yeah. We're going to talk about 242 world record that was recently broken. Let me see. We might then at the very end we might get into some of our favorite segments, best YouTube, Instagram comment of the week, underrated, overrated, that sort of thing.
That's a good rundown right there.
Yeah, that's the rundown.
Now, should we stick to it though, or should we just kind of go off script already?
Yeah, we're not going to talk about any of those things actually.
Well, we can talk about some other things.
Well, yeah,
like,
you're going to Hawaii though.
Well, yeah, and part of that this kind of ties into something that's happened to you. I was like, I haven't shaved for a while. I don't go much for facial hair. Like, I'll give it a shot at trimming this. And just like you, the first swipe, I went, shit. Like, well, I could probably save this, I think, still. Yeah. Second swipe, nope. And then I was like, you know what? That's fine.
Trimming your beard as a
when you're the type of guy that only the opportunity only comes up at best once a year.
Yes.
And we're talking. This is a game of centimeters between success. It's not like we have a long beard where it's like, you took a half an inch off.
I got room to manipulate that.
Yeah, we're like, this is maybe even a game of millimeters is the difference between success and failure. And I was a failure from the very start. So
the art of beard trimming is underrated.
It is severely underrated. And then there's one thing too where I don't know if it was on like a YouTube video or on Instagram when we talk about our LaCroix, someone mentioned key lime in the flavor.
Yeah, that's someone gave us that recommendation. Did you try it?
And I tried it because lime is my favorite flavor currently. And I will give it to you. Key lime totally tastes like key lime, and I definitely do not like it.
Okay. And what is key lime as a flavor?
The only thing I can compare it to is my wife loves to buy key lime Chobani flips, the yogurts.
Okay, yeah.
And
yeah,
I don't like them. I mean, they don't taste bad, but I just don't enjoy the flavor that much.
We usually go to Florida every year.
Yeah, they got key lime everywhere. Yeah,
I've never had.
I have been in Key West down there.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of like the key lime headquarters, and you can get like key lime on a stick or something.
But what is the difference between?
I don't really know for sure. I don't know. I haven't taken enough time to really understand the inner workings of key lime. To get it, but I got the key lime and.
Did you dislike it or did you like it less?
I mean, I drank a full one, but my mentality after that was, well, now I have 10 of these that are never gonna get drank. Gave one to my wife. She's like, "Oh, tastes just like the yogurts I love." And then halfway through, she's like, "I don't really like it anymore."
Have you ever do you ever drink LaCroix quickly?
So actually, that was she drank half of hers.
Yeah.
And we were, I think we were going out to get some food, and it was sitting there. I was like, I just don't want it to go to waste. So I
Yeah.
went over to it and started going,
Yeah.
and I stopped, and I was like, that's not how these things were
No,
meant to be at all.
Normally, a beverage I drink like 10 ounces at a time, at a
It
time.
doesn't last.
No,
for any, yeah.
no, but a LaCroix is the one thing I find myself that you just.
It's a dainty sipper, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah, it is. It is.
I think that's how they market it.
It's working.
Yeah, that's how you do it.
We usually fit LaCroix. I guess LaCroix weren't on the rundown. But
They weren't on the rundown.
We do try to update everyone on LaCroix on a
Yeah.
weekly basis here too. But you are going to Hawaii.
I am going to Hawaii.
We're podcasting on a different day than normal.
We're
because,
totally messing up our schedule right
yeah,
now.
but I don't mind because we're putting ourselves. I always like it whenever we put ourselves slightly ahead of schedule.
We are way ahead of the game.
Yeah,
right
so
now.
it's always like really rewarding
to just slack
yeah.
off. We get a vacation from this now, technically.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm going to Hawaii. It will be the honeymoon vacation.
Or as the locals call it, Hawaii.
Well, might be debatable, but I haven't been there, so I can't actually
Yeah.
say if you're right or wrong.
Yeah. Are you gonna do some luau's?
Yeah, some luau's and some hula dancing and
Eat some spam?
Yeah, I don't want to look like I'm not from there, so
You're going to wear
I mean-
Hawaiian.
yeah, I don't want
shirts,
people to think
correct?
I'm not a local. So yeah, I'll get the lay on right away, and yeah, I got to blend in,
That's a. Have you seen that South Park episode? It's the locals, Butters. Butters finds out. I don't know if he does like a 23andMe. I'm kind of fuzzy on the details.
Nope,
but
I have not seen
He
this.
found some way he finds out that he's like a Hawaiian.
Really?
But it's not. The whole episode revolves around these native Hawaiians who are actually just all these.
Just like hippies that
It's just mainlanders that have like a timeshare in Hawaii, and like they go there and they act like they're big time. They're all wearing the Hawaiian
They're
shirts,
the locals.
but they
and
act
everything,
like they're the locals.
But they really just have a time. Yeah,
yeah.
I can see that being an episode.
We also like to involve South Park episodes
Yeah.
whenever possible.
Yeah, you got to do that too.
So you're gonna do that stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
What else would fall into that category?
I think that's really about it.
Are you gonna try to go surfing?
That's not on the list right now, but I would also say that we have the loosest itinerary ever.
Yeah.
As in, our itineraries, we're gonna get there, and then we're gonna kind of do whatever. Like I've gotten a list of like there's some black sand beaches, green sand beaches, white sand beaches. There's like a mountain you can go to. There's a volcano, all this stuff, and we're just kind of gonna wing it and do whatever we feel like.
What's the forecast look like?
So I did just look at that on my phone, and I don't know how accurate. Like your Apple weather app, if there's a chance of rain, it shows the rain icon.
Yeah.
So
Could be
when
a
I looked,
20% chance.
yeah, it'll be a 20% chance, which means it's probably not going to rain, and it will show the rain icon.
Right.
And when I looked ahead, it basically showed rain icon every day. People that I've talked to about Hawaii also said that, yeah, it can rain every morning, and then in the afternoon it's fine, or one side of the island will be totally rainy, the other side's completely sunny. So
Yep.
depending on what's going on that day, you might have to drive around to catch some sun, but it's fine. We got the time.
Yeah.
2 people. You don't have to. It's something about traveling with just you and one other person. You don't have to worry about like what everyone else has
Yeah.
going on and their
You
family
can actually,
dilemma.
you can say whatever you're thinking.
You can say whatever you're thinking. If
Like,
you're tired of doing
yeah,
something,
you
just say,
can
"I'm
say-
tired of this.
Yeah.
This is it."
Instead of worrying like, oh, they probably want to keep doing
the
this.
polite thing
Yeah.
doesn't have to be like.
Yeah.
I mean, not having to be polite. That's like a whole
That's like,
other
oh,
level of
finally.
vacation right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what's in tap.
So
Hawaii.
that's and I am going to a concert before that too.
Oh, yeah.
So that's Travis Scott.
T-Pain, yeah.
Yeah. Going to a Travis Scott concert. Pretty excited about it. Be my second time seeing him.
Oh.
But that probably doesn't matter to a lot of the people that listen to this.
Nothing really matters to most of the people. That
Nah,
we say
no,
really
not
matters
really.
too much
No.
to the people that listen to this, but they're listening, so we're going to keep talking. What about getting into our first item on our
Illustrious rundown.
Yeah. This topic came from a listener. On Instagram, he's at supermassive_black_swole is his handle on Instagram. But where this came from is, I don't know if it was a couple episodes ago. I think it's actually the episode you were talking about what you had done for Thanksgiving. You went to, when you're in
Lifetime Fitness,
Arizona, you toured a Lifetime Fitness. And we were kind of speculating on some of the
Like
numbers.
how many people actually go there?
Yeah, and this guy on Instagram, he forwarded us this NPR article that was taking Planet Fitness specifically, and if anyone wants to check out the article, you can DM us and I'll shoot it over to you. But the main takeaways I got from it was average membership at a Planet Fitness gym is $6,500,
which is absolutely crazy.
Yeah. I think this article was from like 2015. I don't really know how that would be different.
I don't imagine. If anything, I feel like Planet Fitness has become even a more commonly known name since then.
So 6,500 members.
That is mind blowing.
That's, I mean, and this is an NPR article, so I feel like it's credible. You know,
I'm sure it is.
And if they're charging, they charge pretty low rates, but I don't know,
Isn't
it's
it
still
like
like
$20 a month or something?
Yeah, but so that's still what $130,000 a month of revenue per gym, which I don't understand math.
That is so crazy.
Yeah. We have 30-some members at our
like,
gym.
how is like everything in the gym not coated in gold?
Right.
You know?
Right, because they're not reinvesting anything actually into
their equipment fees have to be like, well, and then the buying power they have, they're probably getting their equipment for just nothing.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, for as many. Yeah, I don't know.
And there's
Planet
not
Fitnesses, I assume, are franchises. So
Yeah.
the owner of them is paying a franchise fee to Planet Fitness headquarters, and I suppose they have to buy their equipment through Planet Fitness headquarters also.
and there's probably only certain vendors that are in there.
Yeah.
You know,
and so I don't know if the franchisees are making a lot of money, but someone
is really doing it right there.
Yeah.
And when I say do it right, I mean they're making money.
Yeah.
They're not doing the fitness thing right, but they're definitely
as far as we're
doing.
concerned, the gym is not.
But I've never been to
they're
a
trying
Planet
to make
Fitness.
money.
Yeah, I've never been to a Planet Fitness, so I can't say for sure. But I don't think they're known for like high quality equipment or anything like that either.
No, I think they're known for this. So that's 6,500 is their average membership in a gym. Most of them can hold on average 300 people at one time. So that's
what percentage?
Less than 5%, or 10% would be what, 650. 5% would be 325.
And there cannot be any way that a Planet Fitness has had 300 people in it working
No,
out. Like
that
maybe,
would be insane.
Maybe for like a grand opening event,
Yeah.
and people come and you get 300, but has there ever been more than 100 people consecutively working out?
So if 10% of the membership did decide to show up on one day, it would
just shut the place
yeah,
down.
it would be
yeah.
like, oh,
pack
we
it
can
up,
exist.
people.
That's just kind of staggering numbers.
That number game is, it is.
Yeah.
And that is, you're more in touch with this because you do actually the number side of the gym.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this. You know, Massenomics, you just said what, about 35. We're pretty much
35.
leveled off. You know,
Yeah.
we're in a community. I mean, we're in a smaller market than most people.
Yeah.
You know, what's our town? 25,000 people.
Yeah.
There's a few smaller towns in the surrounding area, but it's not like it's a suburb where, you know, it just runs into each other. So people in surrounding areas want to come to the gym like they are, you know, traveling
20 miles.
20, 30 miles if they
Yeah.
want to. So that's we don't have as much of that. But with that, you know, 35 members, that's really about all you can get in a town of 25,000 people that are into a powerlifting type.
Yeah, and we're not trying.
environment.
We're not actively pursuing more members, you know. So we're not, you know, if that was a goal, I suppose we
No,
could
we
get that
definitely
higher.
do it like if you want this, you seek it out. Like
Yeah.
we're not looking like it's you look for it if you're ready for
Literally,
it.
you have to try really hard. We don't even have a sign up that, you know, there's no sign to even. It's like a secret door almost. Like you have to know the password to get in the.
Yeah, and we're not like again, we're also not like
Not
you
exclusive,
can't,
no.
Yeah, like you can't.
You
Like
just-
anyone can come.
That's all the barrier that it's a good barrier to entry for us as a people, because what you have to do is in order to come, you have to want to come.
Yeah, you don't just
Yeah.
accidentally stroll in
Right.
because there's not open gym time. Like you have to talk
Right.
to someone to even come in.
Right.
But I think you've talked about this before. Over the course of the gym, how long has the gym existed now? About 3 years.
Yeah.
How do you know, rough guesstimate right now, how many members have come and gone since then?
Yeah, which is more than most would imagine. We have over the last 2+ years, we've had 35, give or take 5, 3.
Yeah, 35, 40.
Any month, you know,
yeah.
give or take 5. But over the life of the entire gym, we've had like 85 members. So that the turnover, I don't know how you'd express that as a number, but like over the life,
about a third of people stick around.
Yeah.
So every 3 people that sign up, only 1 will
last
be
for
there.
a lot. But a lot of people, and I keep track of why people.
And,
and most of the time it's people move away.
And we do like ours. We get a lot of people that they're working in the area for a month, 2 months.
And I count those people, even if when they sign up, I might know that they're only going to be a member for 3 or 4 months, but I count them as a.
And there are a lot of people that would be members for life if they could.
Right.
But it's just the way life is that they can't be here. And so, they got to move, got a new job, family things happen. But yeah, most people, that is probably the primary reason why people leave is that they actually move.
Right. Another, I didn't write down the statistics on this, but something interesting I found in the article. They want to set you up on they set you up on a contract. Like Planet Fitness will set you up on a 12-month contract or something like that. And people naturally, in most cases, they don't want to, like, people go sign up for the phone, they don't really want to be locked in. If you go internet, you don't want to be locked in. They said gym memberships are somewhat an exception to that rule because it's almost like people want to tell themselves that they want to go work out. So then if they lock themselves into a 12-month contract, they say, okay, I've got it. It's done. Now I have to use it.
I put the money in. I got to do it.
Yeah, so that they said with gym membership, that's one area where a long-term contract are successful because people,
I suppose.
There's an aspect that people want to lock themselves into that, so they tell themselves that they have to go and use it. Yeah. But obviously it's not working.
Yeah. So it would be really, and I'm sure they have the numbers for it, but it would be really interesting to know like the average like actual gym usage percentage for Planet Fitness. It has to be under 10%, right?
I'm sure. Big time.
And I don't think this is an exclusive problem to Planet Fitness. I think this is kind of, I mean, the gym industry in general has to work on this principle because not all gyms are like Massenomics where
all our members,
it's more of a hobby gym. Like you're not ever going to say, well, Massenomics made really good money this month. I ain't working any, like, that's never, it's just it's a hobby, and then it affords nice stuff.
Right.
And it can, if it can keep doing that, that's what
it's a hobby that pays for itself and not much more than that. But most people are not operating. I would say almost nobody else is operating
on that business model.
Yeah. So that's that piece of the rundown. The next one I would jump to that I thought was interesting. I don't know if you know anything about this. The 242 world record in sleeves, that total record got broken. And the guy that broke it is Dan Stewart of the UK. His handle on Instagram is Dan Stewart PK. Did you see anything about it? Or?
So I just think I saw a lot of posts about people trying to make statements about powerlifting one way or I think I saw the full spectrum, and I didn't see, until you were telling me about this, I didn't see anyone like name or I didn't know what it was in reference to.
So what he did, his numbers, he squatted 915, he benched 500, and he deadlifted 725 for a 2140 total. And the big things that people were complaining about,
So did that take the new all-time world record?
Yeah, I think that's the new all-time world record. So the squat was high, is what people are saying, and he does this. Dan Stewart does have it posted, and you can check it out. And if I was a judge, I would say it was high. Mm-hmm. And then also what I noticed way more so when I watched the video the first time. The squat was high, whatever, but his knee wraps. You can't see, but I'll say like they went from like the middle of his thigh to halfway down his calf. Like I've never seen anything like that before. Usually it's
okay. So I gotta see this thing
just,
here.
Just go on Instagram, go to Dan Stewart PK, and there was still like material hanging, after they wrapped it, and there looked like there was a good foot of material hanging on his knee wraps, but. I have never seen anything like that before.
I gotta just look on my phone.
And what people said, that some federations, they don't have any rule about the length of the knee wrap.
That really?
I guess so. This federation doesn't have a rule about the length of the knee wrap, and I don't know. That thing must have been like 40 feet long because I don't know.
Well, maybe he's only 3 feet tall.
he might be fairly shorter too, and I assume he was but it looked really, really odd to me when I saw that, and then. The other thing I noticed, he posted posted these lifts on there, and maybe you can see.
Do you know what one it is off the top of your head, so I don't click through?
Right there. I think that
Top middle one.
Yeah.
Okay, watching. Yeah, so that is a lot of material covering. Wow.
Kind of like what I described. I can't.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like if you didn't know right away, like, oh, his knees have casts on them. Yeah, it goes like mid calf to mid thigh.
Yeah. Which looks odd. Like you just have to look at it and you know. And then he posted this video, and maybe I don't know.
I'm watching depth right now. Yeah, it's high, but I feel like
you've seen that before.
Oh,
yeah.
I feel like I've seen world records posted at that. So
the height alone wasn't.
And you, to me, this is my philosophy. You can never be mad at a lifter for getting a high squat to pass because they don't make the call. It's the judge's call.
I agree with that.
So, yeah, it might have been high, but that's not his fault. That's the judge's fault.
Right. And then we communicate back and forth with the guys at Open Powerlifting quite a bit, and they get this thing, maybe related to this lift or maybe related to other lifts in general that people will complain like, oh, you can't include that in the record books, and it's like. It's not their job to
they don't get to be any record keeping organization. You don't get to be the gatekeeper of what. Well, I guess you can. You can be the gatekeeper of what records you want to let in, but then you
know how slippery of a slope that is.
You kind of let out the validity of because now you have personal interest at stake.
No, it's not their job to.
It's
because
their
I don't
job
even.
to,
where do you start and end that? Then
exactly, it's their job to, or they've made it their job to. Get out to the world what people have captured.
Right.
To aggregate all the data in one spot, not to be the gatekeeper of we are now the judges of everything.
Yeah.
But most people are too dumb to understand that concept. Same thing like most people are too dumb to understand that it's the judge's fault of that pass, not his.
Right, exactly. So yeah, there's no blame to Dan Stewart, I don't think, other than competing in a federation where maybe you can cast your legs, but I guess it's allowed in the rules there.
It's no different than when you watch every sport on TV and the refs make a call you don't like. You might be mad at the person that did it for a second, but you're usually mad at the refs.
Yeah.
Like any sporting event, people yell at the refs.
Yeah.
That's not a thing here, but that is the problem. It's the refs, the judges making possibly the wrong call.
That's what I would agree with. It's So then you can do dealer's choice on this one. Do you want to move on to talk about the changes to the USAPL standards, or do you want to talk about Thor?
Maybe we'll do USAPL standards.
Okay.
Leave the more fun stuff for
okay. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Because we're going to do some predictions in that one, and it's always fun to throw out some incorrect predictions. This isn't new news by the time you're hearing this. It's been out for a few weeks that USAPL updated their national standards. They do that. They recalculate them every 3 years.
Is that the official timeline? Is 3 years?
So these last the ones that are in place still now as of today through 2018, they decided in I would say 15, and they were good for 16, 17, 18.
Yep.
So now in 18, they're deciding what will be out there for 19, 20, and 21. And then they'll, as long as they don't change that, they'll keep adjusting them every 3 years.
And the first thing is they increase them, which is good.
Yes, all of them increased.
Yep. Which you have to like. We both had the same philosophy that qualifying for a national event should be somewhat prestigious.
Yes.
Like, if it's a national event where anyone can show up, like it's like, well, that's not not special. That's not really cool. Like, I guess it's an event that anyone in the nation can compete in. I guess that makes it national, but it's not very cool. Like, and then I feel like it also takes away from like the big time people because it kind of waters down the whole thing, and it makes them get caught in flights. I mean, it just makes the day longer for everyone.
Yep.
So I don't think that outside of the reason they're probably doing it is a financial thing. You get thousands of people to start dumping money in. Yeah, like there's obvious financial gains to be had before it, but outside of that, there's no benefit to it.
Even so, it's gotten like out of hand. Even then, like there shouldn't be thousands of people
and then it takes 6 days for it to happen too, which seems crazy. But
and even with these numbers going up, it's still not like it's going to be an exclusive club. Like
it just finally is like getting you scraped your way in. Like now the people that are scraping their way in.
are to a better standard.
They're for the most part strong people now.
Yeah.
But they're still not competitive in
Right.
in the whole scheme of things.
Yeah,
I mean,
you
even
certainly
if
still-
you're not in the top 10, you're not competitive. Actually, if you're not in the top 5, you're not even really competitive.
Right.
With most weight classes,
Right.
but you can at least now say that you're strong.
Yeah.
When you're at nationals.
Yeah, and I don't know. Do you see the notes there? I have.
Yeah.
That some were adjusted based on the top 15% in those weight classes, but some of the classes were adjusted based on the 30th place total, the 3-year
Okay.
average of the 30th place total at nationals.
Okay.
So I'll try to explain why those are different. The most populated classes at nationals have been the 183, the 205, and the 231.
Which falls right back in line with like that open
200-ish,
powerlifting stat that we had, where
yeah.
where the average weight of a competitor was what 205 or something.
Yeah,
And if you look at most charts, that's where guys fall. If you're a guy, you start putting on weight for the most part, you fall in those weight classes. So that
Yes.
makes perfect sense.
So for all the other classes that aren't those heavy populated ones, what they went by is the top 15%, and that's how they determine that number. So for super heavyweight, it's 1703. For the 120 kilo 264 class, it's 1588, and then you got to drop down to the lighter weight classes, and you can look up the numbers if you want to see the numbers, but that's using
And
the
you
top.
should. It is interesting to see them.
Yeah, and that's the top 15. That's the criteria they're using to set those numbers, is the top 15% in those weight classes. That wasn't, since 183, 205, and 231 were so populated, if they would have used that, that as a cutoff line for those, there still would have been way too many people showing up to nationals in those
Right,
weight classes. So they decided for those ones to use the 30th place total average at nationals for the
Which still is
last
like,
3 years.
oh,
So if you
they place out
top
30 people
yeah.
at that. Like, it still
Yeah.
seems like a lot.
It is, but if they would have just went top 15,
it would have been really high. Then,
right.
Yeah.
And what's funny to look at, where you can see, how those are different, the top 15 versus the 30th place average, is if you look at the 231 class qualifying total and the 264 class qualifying total.
Yeah, so right now it's 231 is a total of 1,576 pounds. 264, their total is 1,588. So we're talking a difference of 12 pounds.
Yeah.
So your 231s and your 264s, their qualifying totals are 12 pounds apart,
Yeah.
which is it looks odd.
Yeah, it does. It does. To me,
But to me, the most shocking one of the whole thing is 205s. Their total is 1,527.
yeah, over 1,500.
And the class below them, the total's 1,378.
Yeah,
So that
that's
one
where the
has
big-
quick math here, 150-pound difference.
Yeah.
Like that's quite a bit in that
is.
jump.
That is.
And
I like that the super heavyweight total's over 1,700 pounds now, because you're
Yeah.
getting, if you have over a 1,700 pound sleeve total, that's pretty
you're
legit.
just, you are
you're
a
not
really
considered
strong
not
person.
strong. Yeah. That's a good total. I think out of the classes that I, have good points of reference on, which I'd say is 205, 231, 264, and super heavyweight, because we have people from the gym competing in across those classes, regularly. The easiest class to make there is the 264.
Oh yeah.
Then that's
Yeah, because even the 264 to super heavyweight jumps up
Right.
120 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that the lowest relative is the 264.
but
for
that is
sure.
also, I think, one of the least populated
Yeah,
classes,
it's just like
too,
when we
because-
talked about 264s at nationals this year, it's like, oh, Dennis Cornelius
Well, yeah,
wasn't
'cause-
doing it, so who were the people doing it?
So most people, they have body types where if you're big
Yeah.
enough and you start doing this long enough, you're gonna be a super heavyweight. Like that's
Yes,
just the nature of the
exactly.
beast.
And if you're shorter than that, you're probably could hit your best performance and still make that 231 class.
Yeah. If you're short enough and you weigh 264, you probably have a little extra on you where you could probably just cut and have a better looks and
Right.
be more competitive. But so it is kind of a special person that fits into that 264, and that kind of shows here. But overall, the trend of these getting high. I mean, I remember when we did our first meet. Was it 4 or 5 years ago?
Yeah.
I want to say the qualifying total at that. I did that
Well,
meet
we
at 183.
Yeah, we did that. So that was in 2015. So that would have been before this last.
Yep, before the last one.
you know?
And I think the qualifying total for 183 was like 1,000 pounds even or something. Like to the point where almost if you had ever picked up a weight in your life, I mean, if you spent 6 months training, you probably could qualify for nationals.
That was my first meet, and I qualified for nationals by like 200 pounds.
And I remember being like, oh, God, does that mean, like, at my time, like, not having a good idea of just the whole thing, like thinking, does that mean I'm, like, competitive?
Yeah.
But because I didn't place that good locally, but maybe everyone's
but it's
that
good
strong.
to make it to nationals?
And then you realize that, the national number is just so low.
Yeah.
But I do like this trend of it going higher, and I think that's a pretty
respectable number.
Yeah, if you're in the top 30 in the nation, not all people that get that are going to show up anyways. So
right.
If you're getting these classes to be, between 30 and 15 people in a class, I think that's pretty fair.
Yeah, I think so too. And
So
I think just looking at the numbers, 205 on up, at least those are, and probably on the way down too, but I just don't have a good reference there. But 205 on the way up, if those people in those weight classes are achieving those numbers, you're like, oh, pretty strong dude.
Well, yeah, those are people that, for the most part, are stronger than anyone else you know.
Right. Right.
Outside of your friends that are freaks that are at the gym all the time. I mean, anyone that's walking around at 205 and has a 1,500-pound total without wraps.
Pretty strong.
Yeah, they're a strong dude.
Yeah, for sure. And then at the bottom there, we don't have an open powerlifting stat of the week this week, but we do have a Massenomics stat of the week. And that's what we've got here is so the open class totals also were adjusted, and that would be by open, that's USAPL's term for single ply. Those also increased, I believe. I don't have those numbers, but comparing the raw qualifying totals and the single ply qualifying totals, out of the 8 men's weight classes, 6 of the qualifying totals are higher for raw than they are for single ply.
It's just it's a numbers game.
You have to total more
raw than you do single.
You could just enter. I don't believe you have to wear any gear to enter single ply.
I don't think you have to.
You could more easily make nationals lifting raw in equipped.
And again, you're not going to be competitive when it comes down to the real thing. But if your goal
nobody
is to just,
should do that.
If your goal is to just truly, all you want to say is I competed at nationals, which there are people that is their only goal to say that. Here's your way in.
But that just really stuck out as odd to me. That
that's surprising. But it is a numbers thing. There's the raw lifters to, I don't know what the actual numbers are, but the raw lifters, the single ply, I mean, it's exponentially higher for
especially in the United States, right?
Yep. No doubt in the United States.
Yeah. And it probably only gets further skewed every year. Like I don't think there's an influx of people competing USAPL single ply.
I don't think so. I mean, we know of people that do, but it's not like we don't know them like close personally. It's like we've heard of these guys that do, or we've seen that one person at the meet every year that lifts single ply. Like, it's a different type of athlete to do that.
Isn't that really backwards though?
Yeah, it totally is.
So that's the numbers. Overall, though, you give that a thumbs up.
I like it. I like the trend.
Yep. It'd be curious to see. I bet overall it'll make people step up their game a little bit, though. That even though the numbers are going up a little bit, I bet there won't be a huge drop off of people qualifying for nationals. Like I think that'll be a goal that people are trying to hit.
Yeah. Well, now I think it's like actually a goal.
Yeah. Right.
Yep. I did like when I was reading through these on the website, they had a frequently asked questions section on the USAPL website, and my favorite one was, I don't have a total to qualify for nationals, but I still want to go.
Yeah, and you could somehow.
And it's like, if you technically win your regional, and
even if your total isn't.
I think I think for sure winner of your region automatically goes on. It might even be top 2 or 3 maybe.
Yeah.
But if you win your region, you can go on. So
you're not going to win your region.
Yeah, assuming just no one shows up from your region, you could make it. But just the fact that someone's like, well, I couldn't do it, but I still really want to. Like that still comes up.
It doesn't need to be that inclusive.
There's 1,000 other meets. Like literally, there's 1,000 other meets you could do across the United States. You don't have to do this one.
Shouldn't be called that. You know, it just
Yeah.
yeah.
That's funny.
Yep.
All right, should we go on to the guessing game here?
Yeah. So first of all, Thor. The big news that we found out about him this week was that he's not doing his first powerlifting meet.
I felt like I was like lied to, and I went back through some weird time machine, and there was like this dirty secret.
Yeah.
Like it was all these feelings that
did Thor? You know, do you think in Thor's post anywhere he ever said that this is his first powerlifting meet?
I don't think he lied to us. I don't think he said it was his first one. I kind of feel like everyone else advertised it as his first one.
Yeah.
And I think he's being smart and being like, well, I don't have to correct people.
Right,
They can say whatever they want.
Right.
But yeah, he had everyone fooled.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Open Powerlifting broke the news on it, and they let me in on the secret just shortly before, and I wanted to steal it from them, but I promised we wouldn't. So, but it was pretty interesting. And what the first they found four meet records that he had done. The first one that he ever did was a deadlift only.
Oh, it was a deadlift only.
Yeah, and this was according to what they found on him. I still don't think they've been able to talk to him and confirm that he has done only the four. But the first one they found was a deadlift only. I think he pulled 705. That was in 2010.
That's not bad for your first.
Yeah, when he's 21 years old.
Yeah.
Pulled 705.
Very respectable lift.
Yep. The second thing he ever did, according to what they found, was a push-pull.
So what year did you say that first one was?
2010.
Oh, 2000.
Then the push-pull record that they found was also 2010, and then he pulled 726, and he benched 386. And his body weight on those, I can't remember, it was like 300 and something.
Like low 300s or?
The first one, I think it was like 330.
Okay.
And then by this June 2011 meet that they did, I'm pretty sure he was up to 400 pounds.
Wow.
So he gained a lot of weight in that year. And the first full meet record that he squatted 772. And I think that was raw with wraps. I'm not positive, but I think it was with wraps. But that's a big squat.
That is, yeah.
Really big squat for your first time squatting in a meet. Benched 507.
That's a really good bench.
Yeah, and deadlifted 772. So nearly 800 pounds on the deadlift.
That's
also.
a good first full meet.
2051 total.
Yeah,
so
that's respectable.
Yeah, and he was 22 when he did that. That was in June 2011, so it was over 7 years ago now.
And that's when this gets really interesting. Is that 7 years? What was his squat there? You said
772.
So I think that's going to be. He's put a lot on that one.
Yeah,
he's put a lot on. Like he could go 200 pounds on that. You know, he could do upper nines, 1,000.
Yep.
But the surprising one is bench right there.
Yeah, because deadlift also he's probably going to add 150 pounds to that over that course of time. The bench he's probably going to add about 10, 20, 30 pounds maybe.
Yeah, so he did, what'd you say,
507.
507 in 2010?
Yeah.
507 in 2010.
2011.
2011.
Yeah. In 2010 he did 386.
Yeah, but
so he made almost all his ground up between 10 and 11.
Yeah. So we're talking like 7 years here, and you know, in 7 years he's done strength accomplishments to his name. I mean, he has a resume that anyone
it's not paralleled almost.
Yeah, that's you know, picture perfect basically.
Yeah.
And he's done that still, like to this day. Like we don't know for sure, but it's safe to assume his bench is probably in the mid fives ish.
Yeah.
So he's done that without really increasing his bench much at all.
Yeah.
And it kind of just goes to show that having a huge bench doesn't have a particularly strong carryover to a lot of strongman stuff.
No. And
like,
which is funny because he's overhead pressing you know, well over 400 pounds on logs and
and like if you take it to the extreme, like okay, let's say he was just an outstanding bench presser and he could bench 650 plus.
Yeah.
Would that change his strongman career a whole lot? I mean, he's not really losing out on overhead stuff, and that's not to say that a big bench would even carry over to overhead stuff. You know,
right? And vice versa, the overhead stuff apparently
doesn't have a huge carryover to bench.
Because you would think, based on him log pressing 450 or whatever, you know, he could do that. His bench press would be,
you would assume 650,
plus. but he doesn't train. Maybe
Yep.
with just
And yeah,
a little bit of
I'm sure he just doesn't have huge blocks focused on
no,
bumping that bench way up.
no.
And why risk tearing pecs and all that stuff for, not really helping him in his end game here.
Right. But then, so we made our predictions, I think, a couple weeks ago on what we thought. But there's been a lot. He's had a lot more lifts, bigger lifts published.
He's shown a lot more.
The big squat one recently was the he did, what was it, 970 or 980?
Yeah, it was something like that.
It was one of those two, because prior to that he did an 880 that looked
not particularly easy.
Yeah, and then he did this 970 or 980 that I'm pretty sure looked easier.
I think so too. Yeah.
Which is probably has to do with this programming.
And maybe he's just more comfortable with.
Yeah.
I mean, he has more time.
Some people just have good days and bad days
Yeah.
too. And maybe he only gets so mentally prepared for an 80% lift, and he just takes it to another level when it's a 95+% lift, and he.
Yeah, I think that's a component to it. The one that really surprised me today, he had the deadlift video today.
Yeah. So
and
was that
it
905?
I think it was 905.
Yeah.
And how many guys have you seen going into a meet, prepping for a meet, pull a 900-pound deadlift or more,
Yeah.
and not use straps? Like, I can think of, you could maybe say Kaylor Woolham
Yeah,
probably
that's
has.
what I was going to say is probably Kaylor Woolham, as maybe Yuri Belkin. Maybe
I don't think Yuri puts a lot of his training videos out, though, so I can't, one's not coming to mind.
Yeah.
You'll see guys pull,
Eric
900.
Lillibridge probably has before, right around 900, and he doesn't wear straps, so.
Yeah.
But
yeah, you just, you'll see guys pull, 900-ish, but they'll always have straps on.
Yeah.
So then, that's always the big thing is, okay, on meet day, the strength might be there, but is the grip going to be there? And to see him do it didn't look particularly hard. I mean, it's not fast, but he's not a crazy fast deadlifter either.
Right. No, I think that looked like a pretty good rep.
He said planned opener on it, I think. And I'd say, yeah, that's probably about right.
Yeah.
In my head, it's maybe it's a little slow, but he knows his thing better than I do.
Right. Like you said, it didn't look super fast, but it looked, I don't know that it looked hard either.
Yep.
It just.
But if that's the planned opener, 905 or right around there, it seems really weird to think that he's going to have a 1,000 on his third attempt. That's a pretty big
I still
jump.
don't think. So so now that we've seen what we've seen, the other thing we saw was a 535 touch and go bench, which he said was a bench PR.
Yep.
So now that we've seen, and he's done lifting, he's not going to take any heavier attempts. That by the time you're hearing this will be a day or two. This comes out a day or two after the meet, so it'll be really fresh in your mind.
You can
how
hear
right
how
or wrong
stupid we sound here.
Yeah, but you should go first on what you think.
So assuming he doesn't pass on any third attempts, 'cause that could very realistically happen.
Yeah.
But assuming he does take third attempts, I'm gonna think on squat his third attempt is gonna be. What did we say that was? It 970?
That's what he did there.
I think third attempt is going to be right around 1,000.
Yeah, that's.
I think it's
so
going to be
too.
right in there.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he did if his peak went well and a little recovers well before the meet. I wouldn't be surprised if he did 1,010 or something 1,020.
Yeah, I think that's possible. Yep.
I don't think it's going to be 1,050.
I don't think so.
But I think his plan is to do 1,000.
I think that's going to be I think the 1,000 is going to be the decision of, are we feeling good?
Yeah.
Let's hit the 1,000 barrier.
Yeah.
Things aren't feeling the best. We'll go slightly under it and kind of save it for the rest of the day. But so I think we're going to be right at 1,000.
But then again, if he continues the way he went, he's going to do 1,100 because 880 seemed tough. A couple weeks later, he's like,
yeah, you're right. And we don't know what day that video is from too.
Right.
That could be the other thing is that. I mean, for all we know, that was 2 weeks ago, and he also got one more session in that he's not showing us.
Right. That's true.
So that is the other trick of it is we're just going off of what he's feeding us.
Yeah. But I think generally now we both agree that he's going to be close to 1,000.
Whereas before I think we were guessing more like 9.
I definitely
mid-9s.
I definitely thought it was going to be 950 or less. Even though I know he has before squatted more than that, but I was kind of basing that off as 880, and I was more thinking that he was going to squat 930. Mm-hmm. And now I would give him 1,000.
Yeah, I think we're going to be right in that 1,000 ballpark.
Yeah.
Yep. And then that moves us on to bench. And there, I think at first I was saying was I saying mid 5s or 600 even?
I think you said close to 600 or maybe slightly under 600.
And now that he said that bench PR was 535, is that what you said?
I think it was 537 maybe or whatever, but
maybe 550, 560.
Yeah.
It seems weird that would be like jumping 10, 20 pounds over that even.
Yeah. I don't know. It depends on how they're going to judge the bench, too, because, what he did there wasn't a competition bench by any stretch. I think that might be what he benches is like 530.
530.
I don't know. That's kind of what it's.
I can't see it going much over 550.
No, I don't. I guess I was wrong before on underselling.
And I would love. I'd love
yeah.
to be wrong. I would love to be wrong, but
I don't think it will. I think it'll be 525 or 530 is my guess.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty safe bet. And then deadlift. Now this
changed too. Now that we saw that 905,
yep. I do think, assuming the day goes good, he's going to make a shot for close to 1,000.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, if you're starting at opening at 905, he's not making 20-pound jumps.
No, I mean I think it's
like his
pretty
second
safe.
lift is
it's
going to
be
be 950, right?
Yeah, it's going to be 950ish, and I think his third one's going to be pushing.
And that'll be how did 950 go? How do I feel on a day? Like, am I going to try 975? Am I not going to take a third attempt? Am I going to try 1,000?
And maybe he's going to take a third, and WRPF, maybe they'll give him a fourth. Like that's a real thing too.
That's true. So do you think he's going to deadlift 1,000? So I mean,
I'd love to see it, but I don't think he's going to.
Before I wasn't sure. I wasn't 100%. I assumed he's going to deadlift over 900, but I wasn't thinking I wasn't saying it was like a gimme after the full meet. But now he's going to deadlift over 900.
Well,
that's his opener.
This also brings up. This is the really because they definitely have an end game in mind of some kind.
Yeah.
And there's multiple. Like there is the one of just go for like one of the biggest deadlifts of all time in a full power meet.
Yeah.
There's that avenue they could take. They could make a legit shot at biggest total of all time.
Yeah.
What Milanichev 25
12 or 25
so
15.
If the day's going really good, they could have a legit run at that. Or they could just hey, Thor's in his own league, just let him do his thing.
Yeah.
And so it's just it's hard to say like how hard are they going to push that.
Nobody's ever squatted 1,000 and deadlifted 900 in the same meet.
So that could be one too.
So I would say he's got a really good chance of doing that if he gets that third squat.
If he gets that third squat, I would.
Yeah.
I mean, the 900 is going to be his opener.
Yeah,
is what he's saying.
right. So
he
he's got
should
it.
have that.
And then obviously it goes without saying that nobody's ever done 1,000 and 1,000.
That would be really cool.
Yeah, and if he does 1,000 and 1,000, he's almost a lock to have the biggest total of all time. Because if he's got that 520 bench even at that point, then it's
he's got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't have to have a perfect day benching, but he does have to have a perfect day kind of for everything else.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to do 1,000 and 1,000. I think he's got a really good shot at the 1,000
I think he's capable of it at some point.
Yeah.
But I don't think that this is the meet it's going to happen.
I think the deadlift. What's your deadlift prediction on a number?
I think, like from a realistic standpoint, like the right call would be like 985, 990-ish.
Yeah.
But they also might just say like, no, Thor has to have his name as the big, and they might jump it to 1,000.
Yeah.
So, can you see them calling 990? Would they call 990?
No, but I could see
like,
if
we'll cut
I
it
could
10
see if
pounds
950 isn't amazing that they go like 975.
True.
Like I don't feel like
I think I'm gonna say like 980.
Yeah. Which that would give him 2,500. Is about but then he's so close to the all-time world record that do you call 982 or do you say
Milanichev's the only one to break 2,500, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So
but
at the very least,
he could call that 990 if it means breaking the all-time world record. Then I could see them doing it.
Yeah.
If the 990 deadlift breaks Milanichev's all-time world record, I think that would be the priority over the 1,000-pound deadlift.
Yeah, I think, and that's just I think a lot of how that last deadlift gets called is going to depend a lot on what's happened during the day.
Right. So what do you think he's gonna? Do you think he's gonna break the all-time world record? So same question. Do you think he's gonna break 2,500? Do you think he's gonna break the all-time world record? Because he's not gonna do one and not the other. He's gonna do. They'll do both. I believe that would be the call.
I don't think he's going to.
Yeah.
Like I think he's probably capable of it, but I don't think he's going to. Like it
I don't
just
think
seems
he's
like it's
going
too
to
risky
either.
for him to push it to the absolute limit and risk a hammy, risk a pec, something like that, just to say that he did it.
I mean,
then put his strongman career.
there's
on
only
hold.
been one person that's ever been able to do it. Like, so the it is Thor, but nobody else has, of all the people that have been,
made a shot at it.
Yeah,
And then like injuries start popping.
Right.
Like that's where injuries exist.
right.
There's a reason that people just don't get runs at it
Right.
very often, and like
Right.
the stars have to align perfectly. And even if you had the perfect training thing, you'll find a lot of times that first squat, someone has a hammy issue, someone has a quad issue,
Yeah.
bench, someone has a pec issue. Like it's like a gauntlet trying to get to the end of
Yeah.
that thing.
I would agree that I don't think he's going to break 2,500 or the all-time world record, but also wouldn't be shocked if it happened.
No,
Especially
and like I said,
considering.
I would love to be proven wrong.
So yeah, my prediction definitely got upped. I would say, I thought maybe he could finish under 2,400
Yep,
before, and now after what he's done this last couple of weeks, I'd say that he's going to get that.
yeah, I would be very surprised if he wasn't 2,400.
Yeah.
Even like maybe even 2,450
Yeah.
might surprise me a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. As long as doesn't get injured.
Yep, that's the big one.
Yeah. So that's our final predictions, and as you're listening to this,
You know the answer.
Yeah,
Maybe you don't know.
everyone knows. Everyone's
It's been all over Instagram
Yeah.
by now for sure.
everyone's talking about it. Everyone that's anyone. So that's our Thor prediction. Do we got time left?
We're 50 minutes deep,
Okay.
so we got a few minutes.
Well, I did have something else related to Thor. Did you see that Larry Williams is going to be traveling to Iceland this winter to?
So I just saw because he just had a very vague like post on his story about it, didn't he?
Yeah. I guess the time frame is like he's gonna stay there January, February, a couple months, and he's going to train strongman with Thor.
Why not? You
Yeah.
know? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, that'd be really. Yeah, this is kind of like I think what we're seeing two things that everyone hoped for: Thor doing a powerlifting meet,
Yep.
and now Larry Wills potentially
Doing
getting
strong-
into some strongman.
And what's fun is that those two are kind of like doing it
Like
together.
doing it together. Yeah, it is.
Like they are kind of the two amongst their esports. They're the two like not only
More of the iconic.
arguably best, but like certainly not arguably they're like the biggest
They have the biggest. They're kind of the face of it.
yeah they have the
You
big
know?
presence, especially
Yeah.
like
like
the
Yuri
social
Belkin.
media
Yuri
age
Belkin has a huge performance, but he's Russian and doesn't
Yeah,
have a lot on social
right.
media, so it doesn't give you a lot to really follow as a fan.
right.
I mean, language barrier alone. But yeah, Larry, no shortage of content or PRs for that matter. Even it's a great follow. If you're into that.
And did you see Larry was log pressed? He did something for a set of 5, and I don't know if it was 315 or
I don't even remember now. It all
It's
just like loses.
330,
It almost
yeah.
all loses meaning
Yeah.
because it's just
Yeah.
so out there.
It was interesting to see that he was and I think maybe half Thor was there. I don't know if
Well,
he was
did
in
he
the
do?
state.
Was it just like in the last week he did 405 overhead for a double overhead press?
Yeah, Larry did.
Yeah.
Larry Williams did that, and he tried for a third and
Yeah, it
threw
wasn't
on
quite
the ground.
there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm curious if like his time with like Bradley Martin, and he's like,
Yeah.
I just need to like keep being around really like big
The strongest in the
people
world.
that have a
Yeah.
lot going on with him,
It's
because he's doing a lot of crazy stuff that he's there.
And everything as far as marketing himself and everything, like why wouldn't he want to capitalize on Bradley Martin's audience, on Thor's audience? You know?
And that's the thing that's
Yeah.
gonna keep him going for
Right,
sure.
because there's not a long list of strength training people that have a bigger audience than he does.
No.
Like he's pretty much with those people right now.
yeah, it's about as big as it gets.
It'll be fun to see how that strongman stuff goes, though.
Like how many like just
And I
weeks
just
of
want to
crazy
see videos
PRs
of
we see,
those two, like
just doing the
Yeah.
dumbest, craziest things. Yeah, I think we'll see a lot. Assuming
like-
it happens, we'll
yeah.
see. We will see that happen.
I feel like their training is so much different though that Thor is so by the numbers, by the book. He does what is scheduled,
Yep.
and
Larry's just like, just go, man.
he threw the book out years ago.
Larry would be though as a strongman competitor, more in the style of like a Pujanowski.
Oh,
But
yeah.
also, Pujanowski was a freak strength
Yeah.
athlete too. But I think this is on an even crazier level.
Right,
of
I
that.
think so too. It'd be fun to see. 2 months isn't a long time of training, but
Yeah, when you're Larry, that's all you need.
But what's he? In powerlifting, Thor can hop into powerlifting and go do whatever powerlifting meet he wants to.
Mm-hmm.
If Larry hops into strongman, I don't think that he's just automatically going to get invited to the world's strongest. You know, he's not going to do the world's strongest man for his first meet. He's not going to do the Arnold Classic. You have to qualify for that stuff.
But I don't think he'd have much of an issue qualifying anywhere.
No, but I mean, he will. His first one, he would have to go. He's going to have to go do like a more local strongman competition, and he would probably have to do at a minimum. I don't know. I'm just throwing out a number, 3 or 4. You know, he'd have to do enough to get himself qualified to those.
Unless he got some like he could get into like America's Strongest Man, like a more premier event, and then from there, like if someone kind of gives him a hand, lets him get into one of the bigger ones, and then he wins it, and then goes from there.
And this is just assuming he would do. You know, I'm not saying we don't even know strong enough or good enough at it.
Well, and we don't even know if he even plans on actually competing.
Right. It would, just assuming he did, and assuming he could be good enough to do it, it would still be a process to get himself into those exciting strongman competitions. Like, because it's not going to be interesting to see him go compete against 30 guys you've never heard of. You want to see Larry go compete against. I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but you want to see him go compete against Brian Shaw and Thor and
Dimitar.
Dimitar
he's been popping up in some memes
There's
again.
been a really big resurgence of Dimitar memes.
Yeah.
And I like to think that Massenomics was a big part. And
I mean, it is the exact
Massenomics
pose.
Started
it is.
Dimitar
like
memes.
The memes we've seen have been the exact pose, him with that rock. It's not our photo. It's from a slightly different angle, but that one I sent you the other day was on that Sunny Side Up account, which is a pretty big meme account. It is one of my favorites.
I think one of them someone that shared one, because we got DM'd and tagged in probably 30 times in the last 2 days of people wanting to show us about those Dimitar memes, and one of the accounts had almost 1 million followers.
Yeah, I think it's Sunny Side Up. It is a pretty big meme account. But I do like the one. It's so stupid. It's him holding the rock, and then you can see I don't even know who that guy is.
That's Steve Schmidt.
Oh, okay.
Very strong.
Yeah. Oh, he has to be. He's like 6'8" and enormous.
He holds the block press world record. I think he's done like block press like 375 pounds. He can also log press well over 400 pounds.
So he was like an actual strongman competitor.
He is a strongman
he still is.
Competitor.
So why? It's like he's like almost like an equipment guy.
Yeah, I guess he's just a step down. You know, a certain event like pressing overhead, he's exceptional. I'll probably compete with all those guys, but I guess all events across the board, he's probably just a little bit down from I guess. But he's really strong.
Okay.
That's who that is, Steve Schmidt.
So the meme is they have the angle where it's Dimitar having the rock. He has the rock lapped, and he's struggling with it. And most people that are familiar with us are probably familiar with what we're talking about. But then Steve Schmidt is his name. Yeah. He's in the background watching, and the one is like, on Dimitar, it's like me, and then The Rock is like struggling with groceries, and then Steve Schmidt is mom. And I liked it. It was good.
Did you see the other one? Another relatively big meme account posted. Someone tagged me in it. It was like Dimitar was really small, and it was on a cutting board, like a chef's cutting board, and it had a bunch of potatoes on the cutting board, and Dimitar was holding one of the potatoes, like bringing it over for them to.
Was it The Rock though, or
no? They photoshopped it into a potato.
Oh, they did. Okay,
yeah, they photoshopped The Rock into a potato, you know, and it was pretty funny too. But do you think that they just completely coincidentally came across Dimitar memes, or do you think they saw our Dimitar memes of that rock?
I mean, I want to say yes, they totally got it from us. But what do you think? Probably not.
Yeah. It's a weird coincidence that they.
Well, it also shows how good our tastes are that
true.
That we're spotting out the things.
I still think some of ours are better where his head. The best one to me is where his head and The Rock are switched with each other.
That one is more specific, though. You kind of have to know a little. I mean, it is just goofy enough that it is funny, but it's more funny when you know who he is. Right. Whereas the other ones, you don't. I mean, most people probably don't even know what the hell they're looking at. It's just funny.
The other one I really like is one where he's standing. It's in that same event, and he's like really sweaty, and you know the way Dimitar looks, you know, kind of wrinkly head, and looks like he's gonna have a seizure, and he's like exhaling deeply and like closing his eyes, and then it just has the Brazzers logo above it. That might actually be my favorite one.
I think Massenomics made that one, right?
Yeah, no, Massenomics made it. Yeah.
Yeah, that one was good.
And so all those I've been commenting hashtag Dimitar memes so that they'll
it's
pop.
all
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
People have to know.
If you look up hashtag Dimitar memes, there's about 10 out there.
As far as I'm concerned, it's nowhere near enough.
Yeah. Someone commented once that said, I don't consider these Dimitar memes. I consider them hashtag Steve Schmidt memes. Which I thought that was kind of funny
That
too.
is. Make it so even less people understand what the hell it's about.
That guy is the best strongman equipment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good that I just assumed that was his full-time job. He looked like an expert at it.
Yeah, he's good at it. Well, we don't have the stat of the week, but what was we got to do underrated, overrated. Do we have time for that?
Yep, we're just hitting an hour.
Okay,
So.
maybe the best Instagram/YouTube comment of the week. I knew I had something here. Okay, this is on Thor's first powerlifting meme. So the one we put out there where it was the guy that actually Thor didn't win his first powerlifting meet, by the way. Like, there's a guy, a short, stocky guy that beat him. Guy's actually really strong. I found him on Instagram, and he
Confirm the fact.
I
Well,
know
I mean,
it's
you
him.
can tell by looking at him. Yeah,
and I tagged him and said, "Is this you?"
I didn't
And
know if
someone
he-
else commented, "Yep, that's
Okay,
him."
I didn't know if he replied. Actually,
he's
or not.
totaled over 2,200 pounds
Yep.
and is very strong on his own. But someone commented, "So what? Let's see what happens on the 15th before we critique his current powerlifting skills, shall we?" And
because historical numbers are obviously critiquing someone's current level, right?
right, and response to that was, of course, like, what?
What planet do you live
Yeah,
on?
like,
man?
where are you coming from on this? Why are we like Thor and think he's just as strong as anyone.
Yeah.
We're not idiots. I think that's what I said. I was like, we're not stupid. But just another good comment of the week. All right, underrated, overrated.
All right.
I don't have a long list, but I do have a list. Underrated, overrated is our newest segment. It's lightning round questions that I asked Tommy, some pop culture mixed in with some lifting-related topics.
The most important thing, these are all very, very relevant and matter a lot.
Yes, they're important. They are important. I would base your decisions going forward on what we say here. Okay, underrated or overrated? That new Wheezy album.
I thought it was underrated. I liked it a lot.
And that's the Carter 5.
Yeah,
is that
I liked
right?
it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a Lil Wayne fan, but I
Yeah.
liked it. Underrated.
I saw him perform on Saturday Night Live or Jimmy Fallon, one of the other.
it was one of
and
those.
I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Is it? I didn't know he doesn't write anything like when he writes
He just-
songs.
yeah,
he
he just
literally
goes-
doesn't write it down.
Yeah, if you
Anything.
haven't seen, if you're a Lil Wayne fan at all, and you haven't seen this when he was getting ready to release the Carter 3, which was like kind of one of the last big like actual physical albums to ever come out, because what was that, like 2006, I think, right around there. And then after that, we all know the music industry just went, poop, just died out. But
Why did that happen?
I'm still not sure why. People quit buying CDs for some reason. I don't know what it was, but
I'll check on my iPhone and see if I can figure it out.
This crew, I think it was like a European crew, documentary crew, followed him around, and while he was making the album, and he literally comes off like a possessed madman. Like, he is just all day on his tour bus in the studio just rapping and like drinking codeine and going nuts. And it's like, damn, this guy is on a whole nother level.
Yeah.
Like, he's not like, oh, we should sit down and write for a while. He's just like, no, get to the studio and just like talking and making noises. Half the time you don't know what his noises are, but it's a super, super interesting watch. Like, so if you're a fan of Lil Wayne at all, maybe it's on YouTube or somewhere, I would try and track that down.
Until just recently, when I wasn't a fan of Lil Wayne until like I'd never really paid attention, never heard him talk really necessarily, and I saw a couple of his interviews and I was like, huh. Kind of like
he's actually fairly well spoken.
Yeah, I'm like,
I
I actually changed my mind. I like I like him now.
Yeah, he used to be on ESPN would get him on. I can't even remember whose show.
First Take.
Yeah, he'd be on like those somewhat regular because he's a big
that.
Packers fan, and that was
Yeah.
when the Packers were making their Super Bowl runs. And
because I'm not into a lot of artists, and then I saw him, and I was like, I like this guy. Like he's
he's got an interesting story, that's for sure. And then if you actually go in and look like his mixtape, he has, I don't know how many hundreds of songs that he's just put out on mixtapes and literally just like put them out. And so there's probably, I don't know if there's guys that have more songs to their name officially, unofficially than him.
Yeah.
Like it's just a stupid number of songs.
Yeah. So that new Wheezy album, underrated.
Underrated, yeah.
Okay. Underrated or overrated? Jackal's strength program, 8-week strength program.
Very underrated.
Yeah, we bring that up because we discussed that on the episode a few weeks ago, and we're still getting emails about wanting the program. I mean, I think 20 people, maybe an underestimate of 20 people have wanted that program. So if you do want and everyone said they couldn't find it on the internet. So if you do want it, just shoot us a message and like $100 and I'll send it to you.
I had friends get in touch with me like, hey, what is that thing? I got to try that out.
Yeah.
So,
and
it's very underrated.
Very
incredibly
underrated.
underrated. Maybe the most underrated piece, maybe the single most underrated piece of strength knowledge in the world.
It's like the Holy Grail, I guess.
It is like the Holy Grail. You can almost make an infomercial out of it.
Yeah. Do you think Brad Gillingham would be interested in acting for that?
I would love that. Maybe.
Underrated or overrated? How I built this podcast.
Those are underrated too.
Yeah.
I haven't kept up with them lately, but I listened to like the first, I don't know, probably 30 of them that they had.
Yeah.
I think they slowed down, but I loved them. They were all really good.
They're good.
The one that I think this is the one you told me first was the Patagonia one.
Oh yeah.
I was kind of the guy who's like, Patagonia outerwear. Oh, it's trendy.
Yeah.
And you like listen to the guys like philosophy on life and their like approach towards like, like pretty much everything's warranted for life and all this stuff. It's like, you know what? That's a company that really has like bigger goals than now we're just making a jacket. And it's like, I can get behind that. Like that's really cool. So I've learned, and then just hearing people's stories. I mean, it's how all these people go on to make multi-million-dollar companies, and you realize like how much luck, just dumb luck, is involved
that's
every
a question they ask every Guy Raz,
and he's great too.
Yeah, he's like I'd say he's almost as good of at hosting podcasts as we are.
Borderline, yeah. I mean, if he was into strength, he would be looking up to us a lot as far as podcasts go.
I can definitely tell he's not into strength.
He's
seen him
definitely
before.
not.
So you said underrated?
Underrated, yeah. I would. That's for sure. Listen, and they're usually about 30 minutes, right?
Yeah, 30 to an hour, maybe something like that.
Yeah,
they're good.
If you're business minded at all, or just curious to how things came to be, give it a listen.
Yeah, that's good. Underrated or overrated? Washing your knee sleeves.
Overrated. I don't wash mine hardly ever. But unlike most people, I don't smell though, right? Isn't that how it goes?
Bad. Yeah.
I don't smell bad,
Everybody likes their own brand.
I do though. I'm curious if anyone else has this issue. My knee sleeves, I don't know if I have a special blend of sweat, but my knee sleeves after long enough start to get so tight that I can't get them on anymore. And then soaking them in water and letting them dry out seems to make them more pliable, loosens them up. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah.
Because I don't think you don't have that issue, do you?
Mine are really, really, really worn out.
Yeah, you've had yours a long time.
They're super loose, and I don't.
But yeah, that's my issue. Is I do have to wash them occasionally, just for the sake of like being able to get them on again.
Yeah. So you said overrated?
Yeah, washing knee sleeves overrated.
Last one, underrated or overrated? The LA Rams.
Oh, well.
We cover a little bit of everything.
I mean, as a fan, I would say most people, if you're a fan of the LA Rams, well, that's overrated because who is actually a real fan of the Rams? What's there to be a fan of lately? But they kind of seem like the real deal. But I'm gonna say it's overrated to be a fan of the Rams.
Yep.
I mean, LA sports teams, the Rams. Come on.
I had to remember when I got to writing that one, like I wrote down the St.
What
Louis
city
Rams.
you were?
Yeah, I was like, wait, where are the Rams from now?
Yeah. Yeah, big market sports teams. Who cares about big market sports teams?
Yeah,
you know?
It's better when they're at the gateway to the West.
Let's see an NBA Finals with like the T-Wolves and the Bucks.
Ooh, that would be quite the draw.
There
would be tens of people.
Or like last year, a Super Bowl with like Minnesota and the Jaguars. Just let's get.
That
was potential.
We were this close to the lowest rated Super Bowl in years.
I'm totally all for it. Like I want to see it.
The NFL, it can happen.
It can.
That's how close it was to happening. NBA, it will not happen.
No, it won't happen. And that's what's like annoying. Like NHL, I don't follow it close enough, but I think that just NHL, it's like anyone's shot any year. But it's like I get tired of seeing Boston, New York, LA. any sport, like seeing those teams in every year.
Yeah.
Gets annoying, gets old.
Yeah, Cleveland was relevant.
Cleveland was
as-
relevant, and
but
I'm all
that's
for
just
that.
because of one man
Yeah.
being on their
And now that he's on the
roster.
Lakers, it's not as cool anymore.
Yeah.
You know, even if let's say that the Lakers were that much worse of a team than Cleveland ever was, and he made them win the finals, yeah, it'd be cool. But it's L.A., so it's not that cool
Right.
because they're supposed to win. The league wants them to win, right?
That's true. It is rigged. So
I guess you could maybe make the argument that I don't know. Do people say is like Golden State considered a smaller market team or not?
where is their arena? Oracle Arena.
Is it in San Francisco?
I think
actually?
it's in San Francisco.
Which is a huge hub.
Yeah.
So it's just,
Right.
Yeah. They got the 49ers and all
Yeah.
that. That doesn't count.
No.
I want teams that aren't winning things to start winning things.
Yeah.
That's what I want. Is that so much to ask?
Someday, that's the dream.
That is the dream.
Yeah.
We can all dream.
Someday Dimitar will be world's strongest man.
Someday, Dimitar. Anything's possible.
Yeah. What an underdog victory that would be. What a story if he wins the Arnold
Just
Strongman.
they have
this
some
year.
wacky event that just gets everyone
It's like
injured.
we're doing five variations of circus dumbbell press.
it happens to be the perfect draw,
Yeah.
what he's the best at, and then just it's a weird thing where everyone else is getting hurt, but they can't injure him. You can't put the man down.
One
and
of
he
them's
just
a
wins
potato
by
lift.
he
It's a
wins by
potato-
default.
A potato lift and a circus dumbbell press medley.
Yeah, now we're on to something.
Someday. Well, we better wrap this one. We'll bring this one in for a landing.
Mm-hmm.
Check us out on our website, Massenomics.com. Shoot us any emails if you want to. That's getbig@Massenomics. You can ask us about Jackal's program. Send us money, as Tyler would always say, or you can
send
send
us
money. So yeah, seriously, if you want to send us money, we love money. It's one of our favorite things. Follow us on Facebook. You can check out, we reshare the podcast episodes there. You can check out all the podcast episodes on YouTube. Subscribe on YouTube. What am I missing here? Our store, I guess that's probably the most important thing.
That is the most important thing.
We've got our...
And it's the most important thing to you guys, too.
Yeah, when you're hearing this, I don't think we're going to have anything new yet.
But
it's by the time you're
there
hearing
is
this, it's coming.
some of that hot newness.
Yeah, we're getting multiple new items again in that store. So subscribe to that newsletter so you can stay up to date and just keep your eyes on us on all those other media channels. Most importantly, our Instagrams. What do you got for a tag
Find me
there?
at Tomahawk_D. And you don't have to spell out underscore. It's at the actual symbol underscore. I'm sure some people
I
get
see
confused
I
every month.
always thought you had to write it
Yeah,
out.
no, it's actually just Tomahawk, the symbol underscore, and then the letter D.
Why did you do that? It seems like everyone else writes out the...
Yeah, I mean, most people write out the word underscore. I decided to be a
wanna be
little
different.
different. Yeah.
Then you can check out our official Massenomics Instagram page at Massenomics.
Yeah.
That'll do it. We'll see you next time for episode 142.
See ya.
You just heard the Massenomics podcast. With your ears, you're welcome. Check us out on Facebook, find us on Instagram at Massenomics, and make sure you visit Massenomics.com and buy some of that sweet Massenomics gear. From your friends at Massenomics Studio, home of the world's strongest podcast, stay strong.